In this HVACR training video, we're going over how to clean an indoor and an outdoor coil on a mini-split system using the portable Coil Jet Cleaner, some Speedi-Foam, and at the indoor unit, we're going to be installing the Mini-Split Bib Kit. We're using a portable Coil Jet Cleaner because we're a far distance away from the hose. You don't have to do any type of hand pump or anything like that. This is battery operated, so it's going to keep the water pressurized, and it's also going to keep the mix proper between the water tank and the chemical tank. And so the other thing that you want to take into consideration is before you just go and clean the coils, make sure that the system's operating correctly. You don't want to get blamed for maybe breaking a system that was already malfunctioning before you got there. So in this instance, because we can't necessarily check the charge of a mini split, we're just going to check the delta T inside. We're going to run it in heating mode and in air conditioning mode, and then we're going to get started cleaning the coils. We're just going to check this, make sure it's running well. We're going to turn the temperature up in heating mode, and then we're going to check the delta T as well. We can turn this in air conditioning mode, let it run for say 5 to 10 minutes. Once again, check the delta T in order to just see that the system is actually working. Now we're going to turn this off. And then after this is done and make sure that the compressor is off, then we're going to pull the outdoor disconnect to make sure the power's off to this system. Before we start mixing, we want to get a couple things gathered. We want to have our nitrile gloves. I'm going to have a long sleeve shirt because I don't want to get any chemicals sprayed under my arms. Safety glasses, and here we have our nozzle. I'm going to switch that out for the bubbler nozzle. And there's also this wand here that you can use as well at the indoor coil. And you're going to want to take your son's Halloween basket, and we can use that to just clean the outdoor unit. And so what I want to show you, I want to take you up close and show you this. We're going to be mixing our alkaline Speed Clean Speedi-Foam cleaner, and we're going to be putting the chemical right in here, and then the water goes in here, and we can control the dilution right here. So with this, this is about 11 pH, and so we're going to be mixing this to 10 to 1, so 10 parts water, 1 part chemical at the outdoor unit, and 20 parts water, 1 part chemical at the indoor unit. So it is going to be a lower pH, and you're going to have to also just make sure you're following the manufacturer's specifications in reference to the pH level of the cleaner used. Now let's go ahead and take an up-close view of our mixer here. So right now we're turned all the way clockwise, and so if we were to spray with our nozzle, we would only have water coming out. And so if we wanted to go to 30 to 1, we would turn this counterclockwise 1 full revolution. If we want to go to 20 to 1, which is what we're going to be using at the indoor coil, we would be here. So that's 2 full revolutions. And if we want to go to 10 to 1, which is what we would be using at the outdoor coil, we can go right over to here. Now we already primed both of these, and the way that you would do that is you would open it fully to the full for the chemical, and then you'd spray until you see the bubbles come out, and then you would then close the chemical all the way down clockwise again, and then spray this nozzle until there's no more foam coming out. But anyway, we already primed this, and so we already have both some water and chemical in here. I'm just going to go ahead and fill those up all the way. So first I'm going to dust off all this loose junk, and then I'm going to undo the 4 screws in the front in order to take the grill off. I'm going to then go ahead and clean off the entire unit out here with just water and this right here, just in order to take off this. After that, we'll clean our coil. I'm also going to take this side cover off, and I'm going to leave the top cover on because I don't want to get the IPM wet. So inside here you can see there is an intelligent power module. It's right here, and I don't want to get any water into the top or anything over here. So I'm just going to leave this top cover on just to protect it. Now we don't have to take this fan blade off, but in our situation we're going to take it off just so you can see on the inside as we're cleaning this coil. If you take this fan blade off, make sure that you put it in a place where you're not going to accidentally put any pressure on it or crack it. So make sure you put this in a safe spot and make sure these other screws and nuts are all tight. We'll save this caterpillar as well. Now we have our bubbler tip on here. We're going to turn it on. So we're ready to go. So we're set at nothing right now. We'll start off that way. We'll just rinse off the coil and then we're going to turn it to 2.5 revolutions, which will be 10-to-1. I'm just putting this piece of plywood here just to protect the siding. Sometimes when you have old siding, it tends to stain and things. The reason we're spraying it from the outside in is I just don't want to get this IPM wet. And you could seal this area up and go from the inside if you remove this fan, but I'm just showing you from the outside. I'm going to spray this with water first. As you can see, there's no bubbles, and so I'm going to turn this to 2.5 of the revolutions on this knob, and that's going to put us at 10-to-1. Now that I turned it to 2.5 revolutions, it's going to take a little bit of time for the chemical to get all the way through the hose over to here. The thing is, you want to cover up any plants in the area, maybe with a tarp. You don't want to get any spray on them from this cleaner. So here we go. Now we got our foaming bubbles. Now we're going to let this chemical sit on here for about 10 minutes, and you don't have to use the bubbler. You can use this tip right here. However, we are in this case going to use this to rinse off. So I'm just going to set that to the side. And I just want to show you how much we've used. Now I did spray this whole coil twice over, so we used maybe half of the chemical, or maybe not quite half of it. And then over in our water area, so it looks like we used about half of our water. So I don't know if you can see that. Now I did spray this extra just to show the process, so it may not use up that much water. So we've taken our bubbler tip off and we have our yellow tip, and basically we're going to turn this back down to 0 so that we're just rinsing the coil off with water. However, we're still going to have some chemical in the hose, so we're just going to go ahead and shoot that off before we start spraying off our coil. As you can see right here, we have some corrosion on here. It's not that we didn't clean it off, it's just the salt air around here because we're very close to the ocean. We're about 5 minutes away from the ocean. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and now spray this off with our water. we're going to clean these grills. Now we're going to take this cover off, and so we'll pull right here, and then we're going to take these screws out. Now we have the power off to this system, and we did check it, and then we're going to disconnect this wiring right here that goes up into our user control area. Now down here, we're going to press these two down like this. We're going to put our fingers down below it, and then we're going to wiggle this out. Then we need to go up top. Each indoor mini split unit's different, and in this case, the back plate and the condensate pan are all one piece, and so we're going to leave that intact, and then we're going to remove the louver blades and grill down here, and then we're going to remove the blower wheel up here. To remove this metal piece, we're just going to take our fingers up in here, and we're going to apply a little pressure, and that's going to pop this little piece of metal up. Same thing right here. We're going to remove this piece of metal as it goes below the louver blades. To remove this fan wheel, we're going to start by undoing these two screws. We can lift this up a little bit. We're going to have access into the drain pan right here. I'm going to remove this little bushing right here. And then we're going to go to the other side. Some systems have a missing fan blade, and that's where your set screw is, and you loosen that counterclockwise in order to then pull your fan wheel out. In this case, there's a screw on the hub, and we're going to have to undo that above the condensate drain pan. To get to this screw, we have to get in here. In order to do that, there's several screws we're going to have to take out. So we got one here. Another one up top. Pull this out. Pull that out. Then we're going to have access to this screw right here. So here's your set screw, and like I said, a lot of times these fan blades will have one of these missing, one of the vanes missing, and you can just unscrew it from the inside. So on newer models, they're a lot easier to service, and so you can remove the entire condensate pan and also fan motor assembly in order to service these systems. So I'm just showing you how this is removed, and it's a lot easier than the last one. And then you're going to inspect the bottom of the coil and then brush that off if necessary. Inspect and clean the condensate pan, and also wipe off and clean the blower wheel housing. So now we're going to turn this knob to 20:1 for the indoor coil, and so we take 1 revolution, that's 1, 2. So that's 20:1, and we're going to use our bubbler again on the inside, so we can just add this in. We're also going to be using this as well, this little extension, which is flexible, and that can get into hard to reach places. So we're turning this back on. We have about half of our chemical left from the outdoor unit. I've got my bubbler on, and I'm just going to prime this until I have some chemical coming out. So now we're starting to see some bubbles. So now we're ready to go. And of course we could spray this right into our bib kit, and just realize that anywhere where you're spraying this, you might be killing the grass and things like that, so you have to be aware of that. With a 20:1 mix, I'm just going to go ahead and spray this stuff off. I'll let that sit for 5-10 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll rinse it off. So it's been 5 minutes, and as you can see, it's all dirty below, and the screen's already clean. To get any dust off, I like to just use something like this. Get the bristles down in there a little bit. But as you can see, this one's pretty clean. We'll let this dry off while we take care of the indoor unit. Now, you don't want to go hog wild with this. You want to remember that you have your display for your user control right here. So what we're going to do is actually, I'll just kind of rub right here, get any dust off, but I'm not going to spray this one. Once we're done with this, we're going to let this one air dry. You also want to make sure that you don't have any inserts that are going to fall off your louver, but you're also going to want to clean that off as well. So after we wrap the electrical compartment all up, just to make sure it doesn't get wet, we're going to use a bib kit just to protect from any overspray. I have this on the 3rd latch right here. And so we just take this, we come behind the unit, and that's going to stay up, and that's going to protect, and then any water that's going to come down in here, what we'll do is we'll have that going right down into the bucket. On the bottom here, we're also going to tuck this up in the back a little bit. Now on this particular unit, we're leaving the condensate pan in place because it's hooked to the back. It's all one piece. In other circumstances, you'll be removing the condensate pan, so you definitely need a bib kit in order to catch the cleaner and any water while you're cleaning the coil. We have deflector plates as well, so we can add those in. Because this coil's not that dirty, I'm just going to use this BBJ micro coil cleaner, and we're going to just spray this all down. Now, you don't necessarily have to rinse this off if you're going to run this system in air conditioning mode, because the evaporator coil is going to condense the humidity and it's going to drip down. It's going to basically be washing this coil off. If you have mold issues, the BBJ mold control can be used as well, and we could just leave that on the coil. This bottle will be good for 1 indoor unit, and we're gonna let this cleaner sit on the coil for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we're gonna rinse it off. I know we just cleaned this with the BBJ cleaner. I just wanted to also show you what it looks like when you're cleaning it with the Coil Jet Cleaner. And of course you could get the 360 kit that also has the cover here. I just want to be able to show you what's happening as we're cleaning this. Near the edges, I just hold the handle down very lightly so that I don't over pressurize and spray everywhere. So when you're cleaning in here, you're probably gonna want a bubbler and then this extension hose anytime you're inside the building on the wall mounted units. And so now we waited 5 minutes and we have our extension hose. We're gonna go ahead and spray this off with water. We've turned our knob down to 0 from the 20:1 ratio. So because our condensate drain is attached in this instance, a lot of that water went down inside the condensate drain. You can see that that hole is not clogged, it's nice and clean. Now here's an example of a really dirty coil, and I just want to show you what this looks like on the top and on the bottom. You don't just want to take a look at the top. So you want to examine the wheel, and as well inside this coil there's all of this that needs to be cleaned as well. So on this wheel you can see all of this is now getting flung up onto the bottom of the coil when this is running. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this off. I just wanna show you this cleaner and how it works on a really dirty coil. So first I'm gonna clean this off with our bubbler. I'll put another layer on. We'll let that sit off to the side. So with a coil like this, and you also gotta not forget about the backside. On the inside here, you're just gonna have to brush it in order to clean it. So you have to remove that blower wheel. Just so you know, it is raining out here right now, as we're just trying to finish up here. So if you can lift this one side of the coil up, the reason I have a brush like this is because you're gonna reach your arm in and brush just like this. So in this video, as we're lifting the coil up, you're going to be getting your arm in there in order to brush it. You could also come up through where the supply was coming at and get your brush, a straight brush, up in there as well. But I like these little brushes because you can get into a corner with it. And don't get me wrong, sometimes it really is hard in order to try to clean something like this right. You want to make sure to not bend the fins over. That's a big deal. A lot of times it's in a very, very, very tight location. After spraying it off with water, you can see it's nice and shiny. Of course, I'm still sitting in some bubbles and stuff like that, but you can see it's pretty darn clean. You're gonna need to use a brush a little bit, and you're gonna just need to let this soak for a little bit with the cleaner, but it does shine it up pretty well and clean it up so that you have good heat transfer between the air and the refrigerant. Let's just spray this off and take a look at this. So in your blower wheel, you're gonna require a little bit more brushing to get some of this stuff out. So it's gonna take a little bit of time in order to clean something this dirty out. But it's definitely doable. It is gonna take a little bit of time. Now that this is all clean, we're gonna reassemble. I'm going to turn this wheel until I can see the Phillips head screw, and there it is. I'm going to go ahead and tighten this back in. So we've got our insert back in, and up here you want to make sure that this is clipped in properly, and it's going to sit down. Now I'm going to press down because next I want to make sure that this fan blade will spin freely, which it looks like it is. And I'll check it again after I put these screws in. Check the fan blade again. So that's good. Once again, I'm just gonna check my blower wheel and we're good there. It free spins. And we're gonna take our circuit board assembly. We're first going to put our thermistor back in, and as you can see, this is no good. You want to make sure that you have your stainless steel clip. So make sure that that's back in there, or that you don't have that lost. And there we go. So we're making good surface contact now. Slip that back in, and here's our thermistor. Now all that's going to need is a zip tie right here just to hold it in place. I'm going to put this insert back in. I'm going to have this tilted up, which is the way in which we took it off. And we're going to bend that, get that in. We're going to bend this. And that's where we're at. Now we're going to turn the power onto this system, and the louver motor blade should reset. Now I'm going to turn the power on, and we're going to turn the fan up. Now we're going to turn air conditioning on. We got a couple little driplets in here, but we're looking pretty good. Now I'll just make sure that this system runs well during air conditioning mode and heating mode. We let this system run in air conditioning and in heating mode, and it seems to be functioning pretty well. So I hope this video has helped, and if you're looking for any of the tools used in this video, such as the Speedi Clean Coil Jet Cleaner, the Speedi-Foam, or also the Bib Kit, make sure to check out the description section below where I've got links there. And if you're looking to learn more about mini-splits, make sure to check out our Inverter Mini-Split Operation and Service Procedures book. This book is available over at our website at acservicetech.com, over on Amazon, and also on Google Play and Apple Books. Hope you enjoyed yourself. We'll see you next time at AC Service Tech channel.